So in the previous video, we saw that Chandni had a great argument with Abu Khan. Abu Khan tried his best to keep her back, promising her good juicy grass and love, a lot of love. But then Chandni was being very, very obstinate, very stubborn, and she said, no, I will go. And then he got angry with her and put her in a small cage and tied her up. But somehow there was a window there and she broke through the window and she ran towards her freedom. Till there we had done yesterday. Now what you can see here is Chandni went back to the hills. She went back from the window, she jumped and she went back to the hills. This is what we'll do today. She knew the wolf was somewhere there. She knew about the wolf because Abu Khan had told her many stories about the wolf. She knew. She was ready to put up a fight, a good fight. She was ready for the fight. She knew that she would encounter or she would meet the wolf, but she was ready mentally to give the wolf a good fight. So finally Chandni escaped from the window and now she reached the hills. It seemed to her that the old hills were standing in a row to welcome her. Like how when a chief guest comes to our school, we all stand in a row to welcome him, no? In the same way, to Chandni, it seemed that the hills were standing in a row to welcome her, to say, welcome to our hills. It seemed like that. She also felt like a child meeting her parents after years of separation. It seemed like the hills were her parents and she was meeting her parents after a very long time. Wherever she went, the tall grass rose to embrace her. Embrace is another word for hug. It seemed like the tall grass was trying to hug her. The flowers bloomed to amuse her, to make her laugh, to make her happy. It seemed the flowers were blooming to do that for her. And the wind sang an endless song of welcome. And the wind was blowing and the sound that was coming, it seemed like the wind was singing a song to welcome her. How different all this was from her past in the prison house of Abu Khan's compound. She began to compare Abu Khan's compound to this open, beautiful land. It was the happiest day in Chandni's life. And this day, when she met the hills, this was the happiest day in her life. That day when she escaped, she played for hours on the grassy slopes of the hills. She met a herd of wild goats. Wild goats means goats which do not belong to anyone. They were just roaming about there. And she met this herd, many, many goats, a collective noun. Herd is a collective noun for goats. So she met this herd of wild goats who asked her to join their group. They said, come join our group. But Chandni politely refused. She said, no, I don't want to join your group. She wanted to enjoy her new freedom all by herself. So why didn't she want to join this herd of wild goats? Because she wanted to enjoy her freedom. She wanted to be alone. She did not want to be with anyone. She wanted to enjoy this freedom all by herself, up in the hills, in the green hills. So Chandni spent the whole day playing on the grassy slopes of the hills. The sun disappeared behind the hills and soon darkness enveloped the grass, the flowers and the trees. So now it became evening, the sun had set and everything had gone into darkness. The grass, the flowers and the trees were all covered by darkness. The wind stopped blowing, even the wind became still. And there was stillness all around except for a strange sound which was coming from the bushes. She could hear some strange sound coming from the bushes. All other sounds had stopped. But now she could hear a new kind of sound coming from the bushes. The sound was like a grunt. What was it? It wasn't Abu Khan's voice calling her back to the compound. Nor was it the voice of another goat. Then Chandni thought of the dangerous wolf who lived in the hills. So she heard a grunt and she wasn't sure what it was. She tried to think, was it Abu Khan's voice? Or was it the voice of another goat? Then she said, no, it is not that. And then she remembered the dangerous wolf that lived in the hills. So it could obviously be that wolf making the sound or grunting. She felt scared. Now she began to feel scared because it was dark all around her. And this strange sound coming from among the bushes, from within the bushes. And that scared her. So now she really got scared and she began to think, should she go back to the safety of Abu Khan's hut? No, she said to her. She thought about this. Should I go back to Abu Khan's compound and to his hut? And then to herself she said, no, I will not go back. And she said, no, death in an open field is far better than life in a small hut. So what is the meaning of that? It means to be brave. They say that cowards die 100 deaths. No, so she didn't want to die a coward. She said that is better in an open field than in a small hut. I would prefer to die brave, it means. The wolf had come out of the bushes and was staring greedily at Chandni. The wolf's main aim was to have his food, and Chandni was his food for him, so he stared very greedily at Chandni. His eyes were shining like burning coals in the darkness. He seemed in no hurry. He knew the new goat was his, so the wolf had had enough experience killing other goats. And he thought, this goat is not going to go anywhere. So he didn't pounce on the goat. He didn't jump on the goat. He had plenty of time. He seemed to be in no hurry. He knew the goat was going to be his to eat. The wolf and the goat sized up each other. So now the goat and the wolf came face to face, and both of them looked at each other, trying to understand how strong the other animal was. Each was trying to find out the strength of the other animal. The wolf was big and ferocious, whereas the goat, though healthy, was small. The wolf was big and ferocious and dangerous, and the goat was no doubt healthy, but very, very small. But small is not weak. Small is not always weak. Yes, small can be also strong. Chandni stood firm on her legs, head slightly bent and horns jutting out. So she took her fighting position. Chandni took her fighting position. She bent her head and her horns were coming out. She was going to attack the wolf with her horns. She was a picture of courage. So if you had seen her, she would look like somebody or someone or some animal which was very, very courageous, standing there to face the wolf without being scared. She looked like a brave soldier ready to fight a treacherous enemy, very, very terrible enemy. She looked like a brave soldier ready to take on the enemy. I must put up a good fight, Chandni thought. Success or failure is a matter of luck or chance. She said, I must put up a fight, whether I win or lose, succeed or fail does not matter. Putting up a good fight is what matters, and everything else depends on luck or chance. So I may win or I may lose, but I should not accept defeat without fighting. This is what she thought. So in this picture you can see Chandni and the wolf sizing up each other or looking at each other, and this wolf's eyes are gleaming, shining, and this the Chandni is not feeling scared at all. Chandni is moving ahead. She is willing to take him on and to fight this. And now the fight began. It went on through the night, the whole night. Through the night means the whole night it went on. The moon, which had been watching the fight, began to grow pale. Even the moon was watching the fight, and it began to grow pale. It began to be covered by the clouds. So now the moon began to hide behind the clouds. The stars also began to disappear one by one. A faint light appeared in the east, and the morning call for prayer came from a distant mosque. Now there was the moon and the stars began to fade away because it was becoming morning, and they had fought the whole night. And it was becoming morning because they could hear the prayer call from a distant far away mosque. They could hear the prayer. As you know, the Muslims pray early in the morning. They pray 5 times a day, and they start with early in the morning before the sun can rise. So they could hear this call for prayer. The first rays of the sun saw Chandni lying on the ground. She was completely soaked in blood. The wolf, tired and sleepy, was getting ready to devour her. So as soon as the first rays of the sun began to shine, as it became brighter, if you were there, you would see Chandni lying on the ground. She was completely soaked in her own blood. There was blood all around her. She was soaked, and undoubtedly she was dead. The wolf was tired and sleepy, so it did not yet eat her, but now it was getting ready to devour her. Devour means to eat her. An assembly of birds perched on top of a tree nearby was debating the result of the fight. So an assembly of birds, some birds, a group or a flock of birds, was sitting on top of a tree, perched, sitting. For birds, we say the word perch. We don't say the bird was sitting. We say the bird was perched on the top of a tree, a group of birds, and they were discussing among themselves, who is the winner of the fight? Who is the winner? One of them asked. The wolf, of course. Most of them said. They all said, of course, it's the wolf who's the winner. The goat is lying dead there, and the wolf is the winner. But a wise old bird declaimed with confidence, Chandni is the winner. And a wise old bird, he declaimed, he announced, he said, he uttered these words. Declaim means something like proclaimed. He said, he uttered these words with confidence, Chandni is the winner. So was Chandni the winner? In the eyes of the other birds, Chandni was the loser because Chandni was dead. But in the eyes of this wise old bird, Chandni was the winner. So why do you think Chandni was a winner? Because she didn't die like a coward. She died fighting. She didn't hide behind the bushes. When she saw the wolf coming, she went to face him head-on challenge she gave him. She said, it's better to die in an open field than in a small hut. And so for the wise old bird, Chandni was the winner. Because cowards die 1,000 deaths. And Chandni was not a coward. Okay, that is why this bird said that Chandni is the winner. So this story is by Zakir Hussain, an adaptation. The story is something else, but then they have made it simple for you, abridged version, simple language for students of your class can understand. So they have done that. Okay, so now we'll come to question answers. So first question on page 51, comprehension check. Why did Chandni refuse to join the group of wild goats? You know the answer. Chandni fought the wolf because she was stronger than the wolf, hated the wolf, or had to retain her freedom at all costs. Which one could be the answer? It's very easy, so answer I'll not give you. Exercises now. Discuss the following topics in groups. We cannot discuss it. I can just give you an idea of what you have to write. Why did the wise old bird say Chandni is the winner? That I have explained to you while explaining the lesson. Yes, because it did not die a coward's death. It died fighting. Number 2, death in an open field is better than a life in a small hut, Chandni said to herself. Was it the right decision? Give reasons for your answer. Did Chandni make the right decision of fighting the wolf and dying in an open field? Was she right? So your answer can be no, she wasn't right, she was stupid. Or your answer can be yes, she was absolutely right because nobody wants to die a coward's death. Everybody wants to succeed. Yes, so your answer can be either yes or no. It depends on how you think. Both answers will be correct for this number 2. Number 3, freedom is life. Discuss this with reference to Chandni and I want something in a cage. So this you can, what is the meaning of freedom is life? So you can refer to the lesson Chandni and I want something in a cage. It's like how the customer in that I want something in a cage had been living so many years, nearly 10, 11 years in the prison. And he understood what it was to live in a cage, in the jail. So when he came out of jail, he went to the pet shop and he bought these 2 doves and he released them. By releasing them, he thought that he's releasing himself because he could understand what it is to be locked up in a cage. And now with Chandni also, she also wanted to be free. Even though she got the best to eat, the best love, the full love and care of Abu Khan, still she wanted her freedom. Still she could not go more ahead than the compound. And she wanted to go to the hills. She understood that freedom is most important, even if it meant to die. So that is what is reference to Chandni and I want something in a cage. You need to talk about both the person in the lesson I want something in a cage or to Chandni in the lesson Chandni. Okay, this is your work. If it comes for exams, you should be able to write. For now, you don't need to write. Don't waste your time. Just think about the answers. Okay, so with that, we have come to the end of our syllabus. Now you can do your exam. I am happy that I have sent you this work. It is optional whether you listen to this or not. It's up to you. Okay, so bye-bye and enjoy your holidays. I shall not trouble you anymore. Okay, bye-bye.